This order of comic books has the potential to be one of my best pickups ever, unless the store sold me their dinged and damaged copies. Hey there, today I have an unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to open up an order of retailer incentives that I placed in January of 2024. And these I would consider to be sort of your higher end incentives, 1 in 50s, 1 in 100s. And I was able to track them all down and get them in a single order. But I am really concerned because it almost felt a little too good to be true. I actually had to stop myself at some point because I was finding so many copies available. And when this happens with online stores, I do feel like there is a chance that they would take my money and never deliver. When I first got back into comics back in 2019, this happened to me several times, particularly with Comics Exposure. I don't even know if they're still around, but I placed 3 orders with them that were significant because I couldn't believe the books that they had available on their website. And every time I sent a message to customer service or called them, I just got a dial tone or a busy signal. Nothing ever got through from them. And then oddly enough, like one order was fulfilled like 6 months later, but the other orders were never fulfilled. My credit card was charged. And the problem was there was so much time that passed that I couldn't go to my credit card provider and say, hey, could you cancel this charge? I couldn't dispute it because I kept waiting, and I didn't want to dispute it because I wanted the comics. There was another time where I found a store through a Google search, and of course the interface looked a little odd, but they had a bunch of Star Wars books I was into, and I placed the order, and my credit card again was charged. I never heard from them. Months and months went by. And then just like before, it took too long to dispute the transaction. So there's part of me that always hesitates when I kind of stumble on a scenario like this where I'm able to find books. And that's the first thing that always runs through my mind is the order ever going to get fulfilled? The second one is, I assume that these books will be canceled. As I said, it's almost like too good to be true. Or third is that these are dinged or damaged copies. A lot of times online stores will have a disclaimer on an individual book, or they may have a category specifically dedicated to what they call dinged and damaged copies. They're just books that are damaged that they have not sent back to the distributor. And so they'll keep them, and maybe they'll just mark them all as dinged, damaged, and just say they're all very fine, and then they'll discount them. But a lot of times you end up maybe not noticing that disclaimer, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I found a really crazy hot book or high-end retailer incentive. And not only can you not believe that you found the book, you can't believe that it was available at the price that they were charging. And this is the case. Now, I want to open this up because I am really curious about the condition of these books. And if the conditions hold up on these, then I definitely feel like I did pretty well. I think one last thing too is, the value, the price. A lot of times, as I've learned the hard way, all incentive ratios, not just 1 in 50, 1 in 100s, they all have a historical trend of decreasing in value over time. Not every incentive, but the majority of them, and it's something that I talk about on this channel quite frequently, is around making the decision to jump and purchase an incentive when you see it. Allow yourself to FOMO, avoid it, be patient, buy it now. There's a lot of emotions that go into picking up brand new releases, pre-ordering them, and so forth. And I think the interesting piece for me will see, first of all, if they grade out. Yes, that's what I was hoping for, but also looking at the value trends for these books, because maybe that's also why they were available or discounted. So a lot of questions running through my head, but there's only one way to answer those questions, and that is to unbox this order of comics. Okay. Uh, most of the books were sent without bags and boards. You're talking about 1 in 50s and 1 in 100s. I don't think I've ever experienced this before. So much for like dinged and damaged copies. I mean, it was well packed, but the fact that each one didn't have a bag and board means these are probably going to be in rough shape. But let's take a look anyway. And there it is, the very first one, Black Cat #2. This is a gorgeous cover by Adam Hughes with no bag and board. So the good news is that we can actually look and see at the condition that these things are in, and right out of the gate, check that out. A nice tear on the bottom that also breaks color. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And here we have also creasing and just other like page lifting across the bottom. But yeah, you can see right there. Look at that huge tear. So the way I look at tears is if it's a perfect book with a tear, I just start at an 8.5. This book, if it were in a 9.8, you're talking about $300 to $400. A very collectible retailer incentive, and that's why when I saw it, felt too good to be true. And now we can see why. Now let's just see if the rest of them are like this. Are they all truly dinged and damaged, or did I just run into some bad luck with this one copy? Let's keep going and find out. Incredible. No bag and board. The next one is Trial of Magneto #1, and this is the Art Germ 1 in 100. And here we go. Here's your defect on this one. Nice big color break there. Soft corner down here. So, I mean, this is probably a 9.2 copy. And this was kind of the book that started it all. I know that Art Germ has a new Scarlet Witch cover coming out. I think he has two, and I believe they're either MegaCon exclusives or first available there. And I was like, didn't he have another incentive? And sure enough, this was it from Trial of Magneto #1. And love the cover, but don't love these defects. So 0 for 2 on these. The next is another Art Germ cover. And I did this when I was searching. I was specifically searching for Art Germ. This is Batman 134, the 1 in 50 foil featuring Punchline. I don't know if you can catch that right on her chin. There is a giant fingerprint. Typically, you can wipe those off with a makeup pad, but there are fingerprints all over the cover. And then if we're just looking at the structure, it does appear to be okay. I was worried about the top right there, but I think we're fine. Same thing with the back. Lots of fingerprints all over the place. And I don't know if that is a scuff of some sort that's permanent. I'll have to wipe this one down and see anything I can do. You know, I thought foils are all 9.9s, but this is why foils bother me. And I was holding the book like this so I don't get my fingerprints on it. But I'll typically take a makeup pad and kind of wipe those foils down just to see if I can get any sort of fingerprints or markings off of those books. But I would consider as is right now as kind of 0 for 3. This is really just disappointing as I go through this. Here is Inferno #1, another Art Germ 1 in 100. And already at first glance, looking at the bottom, there's no way this is a 9.8 candidate, unfortunately, just because of that corner being completely rounded and soft. Same thing with this corner up here. Very unfortunate. And looking at the back, some page lifting down here. Hard to get this one on. There it is, right there, coming up. Oof. Oh, and then up here too. Yeah, I mean, you could argue, oh, those are pressable, but these are 1 in 100s. And then to make matters worse there, all of those edges are mashed. So, oh boy. This is awful. This is just an awful experience so far. I'll keep going and show you the rest of the books I picked up. Harley Quinn #25. This is a 1 in 25 cover art by Jenny Frison. And even for a cardstock cover, we've got some color breaks along that corner and up there as well. And I swear, these were not listed as officially damaged copies that were available for a heavy discount. I have no idea what is going on. This one seems to be like in the best shape out of all of the books so far. But, you know, I would probably classify this as a 9.4 to 9.6, with both corners having some issues, probably a 9.4. Then we have another Art Germ book. This is She-Hulk. And I laugh, I can barely say it because I immediately see the problem. I mean, look at this. A dog ear that breaks color. This is a brand new book. like recently released. This is She-Hulk #1 from 2023. It's just, that's crazy. I mean, every edge has some sort of defect to it. Up there has a little bit of a finger bend, another rounded corner, and I doubt that all of these were getting damaged in transit, like moving around, but certainly not protecting them in a bag and board. I mean, it didn't help. And then this one is Scarlet Witch #1. This is the 1 in 100, and this one appears to have some sort of like light scratching to the cover. This one's all white, so it's hard to pick up. But as I move it back and forth, and then, you know, if you can't see that, that's fine. But again, a blunted corner here. Color breaking ticks, even though it's on a white cover, I can still see them. One right there, one right there. Soft corner up at the top, and creases in the cover towards the back. Just, and then for whatever reason, 2 books did get sent with a bag and board, and I think it's because they're both foil incentives, Jenny Frison foil incentives. They're both Poison Ivy books. One is Poison Ivy #2, 1 in 100, and Poison Ivy #8, 1 in 50. I'm scared to even open these up and look at them, but wow. Probably, I mean, I didn't get these from Midtown, but this is probably worse than a Midtown shipping experience. And I'm going to be reaching out to this seller directly to see if there's any sort of refund or discount, because this is, for the amount of money that I paid for these incentives, this is just truly disappointing. So I really don't know what to make of all of this. I mean, these 1 in 100s that are dinged and damaged, I don't even know what somebody would think about and consider in terms of value for these books. I mean, to me, these are live claim specials, right? Where you kind of hold it up quickly and say, look at this 1 in 100. I'm going to let it go for $75 because I'm such a cool seller. But then you get it and you're like, this is an 8.0. I don't even know. And when I say brand new books, these were all books that came out within the last 2 years. Shocked that they were sent without a bag and board. And so what I'll do is I'll follow up with the seller, contact them, and I'll let you know what they end up saying. And the tough part is that I wouldn't have ordered the books if I didn't love them, or if I didn't want to acquire them, you know, trying to collect all the art germ ratios. That's going to be a real challenge if I want to be a completionist in that regard. But these are all books that I love, creators, characters I love, stories I love, a lot of like super high value potential if these are in high grade. So there was a lot going for it. But I feel like I was bashing Midtown. Even when I order these types of books from Midtown, they're typically taking those higher end ratios and putting them in like a semi-rigid Mylar or some other special holder to just at least protect the corners a little bit. I've never had anyone send me 1 in 100 without a bag and board. Let me know if you've ever experienced anything like this. I'll do some follow-up and then post a follow-up video about how this all turned out and what I ended up doing with the books. But this is a very specific case of buyer beware. When things sound too good to be true, they probably are. And it's, as a comic book collector, when you feel like you have found something, for me, it almost consumes me and kind of removes a lot of common sense. Like, this really shouldn't be available. This 1 in 100 that you got at a discount really shouldn't be found. It shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be so easily searched for. But I'm so excited about the chase for these books that sometimes I forget and make mistakes like this. Hopefully there's a peaceful resolution to the matter, and I will keep you updated on how it turns out. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.